Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to my tutorial on how to read a grading feedback form for a final assignment in one of my courses. This is a companion to the tutorial that I did on how to read the grading rubric for a final assignment. So if you haven't viewed that one yet, you might want to go back and give that one play before you play this. Okay, so in my courses, I've got two kinds of assignments. I've got practice assignments, and I've got final assignments. And this is about the grading feedback forms for final assignments. And final assignments are things like this. They're final projects, they're final papers. Um, you might have a project that you're doing in two or three parts, okay? But in any case, if this is a final assignment, it's not practicing for doing the skill. It's actually doing the skill. So um, certain things that appear in the grading scheme for my practice assignments, like base points, where I spot you some points, or some kind of a guarantee if you hand in the assignment on time and make a good faith effort, you'll get some kind of a minimum score. That's all for the practicing. That's not for the final demonstration that you can do the skill. Okay, so the grading on these final assignments is actually much more straightforward. So the first section is usually has to do with the submission of the assignment. Um, we've got typically uh, one item for timeliness and another item for file submitted. Um, and typically you'll get two boxes within the report on each of these items. Um, I'm sorry, two or three. Um, uh, if you're on time, well, then you're going to see what that you're on time. That the percent credit for that is 100%. There were 10 available points, and here you got 10. So, who's this grading feedback for? Form for? Well, this is for the famous Jane Q. Scholar, who is my John Q. Public of students. So um, she's got 10 points for the timeliness. In the file submitted, um, you may recall from the grading rubric, we have a list of requirements for each of these items. And if you meet all the requirements, then you don't see anything associated with the requirements. So no news is good news. But if you missed a requirement, well, then it's going to show up in a box that comes first here. And so instead of saying requirements, now it says missed requirements. So it looks like she missed submit exactly two files. Directory contents must be properly named a PyCharm project files. This is for this example I took from a Python course that I taught in the summer of 2017. I just wanted it to be the real deal. Okay, so uh, the grade for this was does not meet expectations, 0%. And you can see the calculation of the points is in the lowest box, 0 points, awarded for files submitted. Okay, so that was the first section. Um, the next section has to do with project characteristics, and it has a bunch of items. Um, and let's see, we've got suitability with 20 available points, state of completion with 20 available points, plans for future with 20 available points, and testing with 20 available points. Okay, so in this case, uh, Jane Q Scholar met all expectations, and as you recall from the tutorial that I did on the grading rubric, these final assignments are scaled such that in these content areas, the quality of the work itself, rather than whether it's on time or the files proper and all that kind of stuff. These things are scaled to 95 rather than 100. So if you meet all the requirements, if you meet all the expectations, you get 95% grade in for that item. If you substantially exceed, you'll get 100. Okay, and that's because I want people who do a good, solid job to get a good, solid A. That brings them in under this scheme at about 95 or 96. Um, because we had 20 available points and we're getting 95% of them, we're getting 19 points awarded for suitability. And if there's a comment, okay, it's going to appear in a third box. So there might be one or more comments. Okay, in this case, I've added the comment, this was a great choice of project, I assume. State of completion. There were 20 available points. Q Scholar got meets all expectations, so she got 95% of that. That calculated out to 19 points for state of completion. Plans for the future. Again, there were 20 available points. Jen got meets all expectations, 95%, so that gave her 19 points for plans for future. So things are going very well for Jane Q Scholar. Okay. And the last item is testing. And again, she met all expectations, so she got 95% of 20 points, which calculated to 19 points awarded for testing. And I threw in a comment here, you made great use of automated testing. Apparently I was impressed by that. And then the final box on the feedback form has two parts. It has some overall comments, if I have some overall comments. So here I said, great work on this project. I hope you can keep this project going after this class has completed, because that's one of the goals for the project in that class, is that it's one that you can continue to work on to keep your hand in programming. And then we have a calculation of the total points, and this is rounded to whole points. So on all of my assignments, you get an integer score, okay, and it's rounded in the typical way, point 0 to 0.4. Round down, 0.5 to 0.9 round up. Okay, and so whereas you might see some fractional points up in the scores of the individual items, by the time you get down to the total points, you're going to get a an integer rounded score. So, how did JNQ Scholar do? Well, she met expectations on everything but the file. If she had met expectations on the file, she would have picked up another 10 points. Instead of these 10 available points, she picked up 0. Okay. So let's say that she had done that. Then if she had met all expectations, she would have got a 96. Okay. So even though the real content oriented things are scaled to 95, the timeliness and the file are scaled to 100. So the weighting of that works out to meeting all expectations on everything will get you 96, right? And hopefully you use the grading rubric to, one, to help to figure out how to organize your work, and then two, as a checklist to make sure that you met all the requirements. And that's going to help you get a high score on the feedback form as well. So that's, I think, pretty much all that's to be explained about these grading feedback forms. Of course, if you've got questions or issues, we're always available to explain your grade and to talk about your work. So that's it for now. I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.